Okay, so in class this week, part of what we're doing is ordering fractions. Okay, so in your guided notes, page 24, if you have those at home, it goes through the 6 steps that we follow. So I'm just going to go through a few practice questions. Okay, so step 1 is always determine what types of fractions you have. So proper, improper, mixed. And we always just start by labeling those up top. So 5/6 is proper, so we'd write P. 4/5 is proper. 10/7 is improper, so we just write IM. And then 1 and 4/6 is mixed. Okay. So that's step 1. Step 2 is that proper fractions are less than 1, which means they'll always be smaller than mixed numbers and improper fractions. Okay, so you always deal with your proper fractions first. And so how to compare proper fractions is we just turn these into decimals to see which is bigger. So we know that to turn proper fractions into decimals, we just divide. So you would go 5 divided by 6, which would be 0.83. If you didn't know that, you'd use a calculator. And then you'd go 4 divided by 5, which is 0.8. Okay, and when I compare those, I know that 0.83 is greater than 0.8. So I'm going to start to make my list down here. So 4/5 is going to be my smallest fraction, and then 5/6. Okay, the next step is convert your improper fractions into mixed numbers. So it can get complicated if you leave them as improper fractions. So we always convert them to mixed numbers, and then it's easier to compare those. Okay, so 2 choices for converting this to a mixed number. You could use long division or picture method. So I'm just going to use long division. So 7 into 10. 7 goes into 10 once, subtract 7. You're left with a remainder of 3. So when I write that as a mixed number, I'd get 1 and 3/7. Okay, so now what I'm left comparing is 1 and 4/6 and 1 and 3/7. So they have the same whole number, which means I need to compare their proper fractions. So I'm going to do what I did in this step here, and I'm going to turn these into decimals. So I know 4 divided by 6 is the same as 2/3, which is 0.67. So this actually equals 1.67. And 1 and 3/7, 3 divided by 7, if I do that on my calculator, I know it's going to be less than 4/6, but just to get the decimal, is 0.43. So this fraction, 1 and 3/7, actually equals 1 and 43/100. So now when I compare these, I know that this one is larger. Okay, so in my list, 10/7 is going to go next. If you want to write the mixed number in your list, that's fine. So you could write 1 and 3/7 instead. And then 1 and 4/6 is going to be your last. Okay, so this is going to be your order from least to greatest of these fractions. Okay, so that's one example. This example here is kind of lucky because all the denominators are 3. Typically, we're not going to get that, but it's kind of lucky when you do. So again, step 1, I'm going to label what types of fractions I have. So proper, improper, mixed, proper, mixed. Okay. So again, my proper fractions are the smallest. So I have 1/3 and 2/3. So we don't need to convert those into decimals because we know that, of course, 1/3 has to be smaller than 2/3. Okay. All right, so I've got 2 of my fractions done. Now I have 2 mixed and an improper. So I'm going to convert this improper into a mixed. So this time I'm going to use picture method. So 3 parts in my pictures, and I'm going to shade in 5. So when I do that, I get 1 whole, and 2/3. Okay, so now I'm comparing 1 and 2/3, 2 and 1/3, and 2 and 2/3. Well, these 2 have whole numbers of 2, and this one has a whole number of 1. So I know this one's going to be the next smallest. Again, you could write 5/3 here instead if you want. And now comparing these, it's easy, right? They both have the same whole number, but this is 1/3 and this is 2/3. So this one's going to be the next smallest, and then this one here. All right. So then I'm going to go back a page, actually, back a couple pages. We'll do this one here. So this was on page 22. It was a challenge because we hadn't learned it yet. So we'll just go over it right now. So again, little bit different of a question because they're all mixed numbers. So that's a little bit easier. So again, the ones with 3s in them, right? My whole numbers of 3 are going to be the smallest, but I got to figure out, is a half smaller than 4/7? Okay, and you should already be able to kind of figure that one out in your head because half of 7 is 3.5. So if this is a 4 here, this would be greater than a half. So that means my smallest mixed number here is going to be 3.5, so it goes in front. And then 3 and 4/7. I mean, if you needed to divide 4 out of 7 on your calculator, you could, but it's going to give you 0.57, okay, which is greater than 0.5. And then I have 5 and 6 over 8 would be my next smallest, because 5 is smaller than 8, right? And now I've just got to compare these two. So 4 out of 5 we know is 0.8, so this fraction would be 8.8. And then if I go 5 divided by 8, I know it's going to be less, but I can just double check. It's 6.3, so this would be 8.63, okay? So my next smallest fraction is going to be 8 and 5 over 8, and then 8 and 4 out of 5. Okay, so you could fill that one in your guided notes. And then this is the page that I would like you to practice, okay, ordering fractions. So I've scanned this in, and then I'm also gonna have you do these sheets that I've scanned in. So this is called a diamond fold. It just helps us do different, like review concepts that we've done throughout the year. So there's 4 different sections you're gonna complete on this using the target number 54. So I think in the copy that I'm scanning in, it has all of this written down on it. Otherwise, you might have to pause the video and then fill it in, okay? And then there's these 2 fraction pages that I'm gonna get you to try, as well as I've scanned in the entry slip that 6-3 is completing today in class, so you can do that as well, okay? So that will keep you busy for math for a little bit. Okay, bye.